All right, welcome everybody to another edition of A Pod with No Name, live from Brian's house because Tom won't let me inside his. Today, we have a very special edition of A Pod with No Name because we have two very special guests with us. One is a returning guest, but the other is a first-timer. Everyone welcome Chad and Bryan. How's it going, guys?
Hello. Good. How are you? Good.
And then with me, as always, is my co-host Tom. Tom, how's it going?
Yay! We're back again.
So on today's episode, we're going to be doing a little preview of the divisions for the 2017 NFL season. So beforehand, we were each addressed two divisions by direction. Bryan was awarded the
NFC and AFC North.
And Chad was awarded the AFC and NFC East. Tom with the AFC and NFC South, and myself with the AFC and NFC West. So, get things going. We're going to start from the top, literally, with the AFC and NFC North, or NFC North rather. So go ahead, Bryan.
I'm going to start with the Bears. They're the only team I feel right now is not a top team in this division that can't make the playoffs. I feel the only people to talk about are Cameron Meredith and Jordan Howard, but that's more so for fantasy. Howard had 1,300 plus yards rushing, 5.2 yards per carry. Meredith looks like a stud. It just depends on the quarterback situation. Are they going to use him right off the bat or not? With Trubisky coming in, who knows if he's developed right away, if they look good. Not sure. Howard is definitely someone I'm keeping my eye on for fantasy. Could be a first-round steal. Maybe not steal, but first or second round. We'll just see how it goes. I'd like to see him in the preseason a little bit. But other than that, the draft just killed me for the Bears. I could care less. It was just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So we're moving on to the Vikings, who last year had everybody watching. 5-0 start, one of the best defense you see. End up finishing 8-8 after the bye week. It just killed them. The good things I'm seeing is Stafford has another year with Diggs and the team, so maybe they can get a little duo going there. Just some maybe 80, 90 catches for Diggs. I don't know. Cook is coming in as they drafted Cook, and then they picked up Latavius Murray, and I'm curious to see how that goes. I know that Dylan's been high on Cook. What do you feel about him?
I think Cook, his issues coming into the draft were like we see every year in the draft. There's a new story about a player who has character issues, but he's without a doubt, I think, a top 2 rookie running back from this class. He can do it all. He has similarities to Jamal Charles. He can catch the ball in the backfield, run in between the tackles. So I think with Latavius Murray being injured at the moment, I think Dalvin Cook's possibility of getting that starting position is him for the taking. So I think probably come start of the season, Dalvin Cook will be the starting running back for the Vikings.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm not a big fan of Murray. I just feel he's just going to try to truck it. But the thing is he's not picking up many yards. He's not breaking tackles, at least from what I've seen.
At least we'll definitely see a running back by committee.
Yeah, 100%.
To start, especially. The one thing that worries me about Dalvin Cook is the best analogy or comparison that I saw from the draft this past season was Leonard Fournette versus Dalvin Cook. Fournette creates space, whereas Cook looks for space. And unlike a running back like Le'Veon Bell or LaShawn McCoy or somebody like that, the hesitation isn't working in his favor as much as it is for those other two elite backs. So Cook's going to have an interesting transition between the college game where not everybody is fast, not everybody's strong, going to the NFL where sitting in the hole and dancing isn't going to work for him like it works for some of the elite backs in the league. So it's something to watch, especially in the preseason when the schemes are not nearly as dialed in to stop specific players, because if a guy like Dalvin Cook can still make that space and make it work in the NFL, then things could be good moving forward. But if he's having trouble against vanilla defenses, something to caution yourself with moving forward with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I think his success comes back to the Stafford and Diggs combo. Them and maybe Rudolph kind of in the middle. If they can open something up and not get the box stacked against Cook or Murray, I think the Vikings could, with their defense, could do pretty well. Maybe a 10-win season, something like that, make it the playoffs.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But next, I think in order, I'm going to say Bears last, Vikings third. And Lions and Packers, I mean, they both made the playoffs last year, I believe. Right, Tom?
Yep.
Yeah, and I just feel with another year of Tate, Stafford had like the best percentage passing last year. Ebron's coming along. Adula's healthy. They did have an injury in the offensive line, but they went out and got somebody to replace that. And Riddick's coming back. Marvin Jones another year. I feel like this offense can keep pace with the Packers, but I'm still going to take the Packers over them for the first place. Maybe Lions get the wild card. It's going to be close. But with the Packers, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, you know. I feel like
that's all you need to say, yeah.
Ty Montgomery is, I feel like he's right where he should be in fantasy world, where he's being drafted, but I think he's better than people think. I feel with the rookies coming in, I think he's going to excel this year as a runner. Maybe still get a lot of passes, but I feel like he's not going to be like a Theo Riddick. I feel like he's going to be more like leaning towards like David Johnson, maybe not rushing wise, but I just feel he's going to be a top 15 running back. Aaron Jones, the third running back on the depth chart right now, I feel he's much more talented, and he might make a run and take that first, second down part of the backfield. The defense sucks, so they're going to put up numbers. Rodgers, I feel this year, Devontae Adams is starting healthy as of now. I mean, it's still June, but I feel if they can get him going, he's a touchdown machine. Jordy Nelson's always going to get his. I'm feeling this year, Rodgers is going to have 45 plus touchdowns. He's going to break his personal record. I'm feeling it. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to make it to the NFC Championship, maybe even the Super Bowl. So, with that said, I think Packers are going to win. Lions second, Vikings third, and Bears fourth.
Very nice, very nice.
I agree.
Anybody that's done, while we're still in the North here, anybody that's done any mock drafts, is Ty Montgomery still listed as wide receiver running back, or does he?
He's running back.
He's only running back now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were going to make him a straight running back again, or.
And that goes back to Aaron. I think Aaron Jones will take that first and second down. Maybe Ty will become a receiver again because Cobb can't stay healthy. So
yeah.
If Ty Montgomery is listed as the starter and they utilize him like they did last year, he's going to be a huge fantasy asset.
Yeah,
I think so.
That's good. All right. Let's see. What is it? Chad now?
Yep.
Keep it rolling with the East, baby.
Yep.
All right. So I'm actually going to start at the top of the division with the Dallas Cowboys. The first for their draft, they drafted 5 out of 6 first round, or their first 6 rounds. They drafted all defensive, with their number 1 pick being Taco Charlton, who I think they won the draft with names this year. Taco Charlton, Xavier Woods. I don't.
The new day is coming to Dallas.
Basically, but when you have Zeke, Dak, Tony Romo, who fortunately left for the Cowboys, and then you have Dez, Terrence Williams,
a healthy Dez too.
Yeah, that's a scary setup behind that offensive line, and really they just needed to improve on defense, and I think they took care of that in the draft. But they do have a in-conference foe that keeps on haunting them. That actually had a better conference record than they did last year. The Dallas Cowboys. Wow, I just talked about them. The New York Giants. They improved their offense that much more with drafting Evan Ingram as a tight end. So now they have a tight end who is a pass-catching tight end, big guy who can run the field. They acquired Brandon Marshall in the offseason.
Yes, it's a huge pickup.
Yeah.
Their offense is going to be a machine of just. I say Eli Manning is going to have at least 5 or 6 touchdowns over 50 yards in the first 2 or 3 weeks. Because when you have
60 touchdowns for Jimmy Graham. 60 touchdowns.
60. No,
Ryan.
But when you have Sterling Shepard, OBJ, Brandon Marshall, and then Evan Ingram who can
And
get
Sterling Shepard.
And Smash.
Oh, well,
Jackson.
that's I said it first.
Okay.
If you listen,
I'm sorry.
but
Don't forget
with
Paul Perkins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with that backfield and with their surrounding skills, positions, they're just going to be one terrible team to be a defense to defend against them.
Agreed.
And then with continuing on with the East, I'm going to have to go with the Washington Redskins. There's been a lot of controversy with Kirk Cousins maybe not wanting to stay in Washington because he doesn't think they pay him properly, or other things that may be going on inside the company that we are not seeing. But with the leaving of Pierre Garçon, but the acquisition of Terrell Pryor and Josh Doxson, I think that they have turned into a better offense. They picked up a running back from Oklahoma. He was a backup to Joe Mixon. Tom, would you like to say his name?
No, actually, I want to hear you say his name.
Sujan Perine, as we like to call him, Slim Jim.
Yeah, Samaje Perine from Oklahoma.
Samaje Perine, all right. But I think he's a decent running back behind Joe Mixon. But once again, I think this conference is going to be a powerhouse offensive scoring conference. And I haven't even talked about the Philadelphia Eagles yet, who have acquired Garrett Blount, Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, and a few other names that on the offensive side that just makes their offense pop. They're going to be throwing the all over the place, handing the ball off to LeGarrette Blount, and then coming in with Darren Sproles out of nowhere. So you're changing height. First off, you're changing height, weight, and speed. So you're just getting a lot out of that conference with offensive talent, at least.
I think you're in love with the Eagles.
I kind of am. I was in love with Carson Wentz. I picked him up last year and quickly dropped him after I realized that he was not a fantasy quarterback. He is a non-fantasy impact player. He is, because I had him last year in fantasy, and he only got me like 10 points on average for a quarterback. But you would look at him in the game, and he just looks like a younger, honestly, I would compare him to a younger Andrew Luck. Maybe not as quick. Definitely not as throw caution to the wind, where you're going to run over defensive linemen. But he is a gunslinging type Andrew Luck.
That is high praise for Carson Wentz.
I've been huge on him for a while.
I like it.
His first few weeks, he looked really good.
No, yeah, the Wentz wagon was full steam ahead. And weeks 1 through 3, and then all of a sudden his arm got tired and the Eagles fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, that's where Blunt comes in, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and they do have Wendell Smallwood as their third
let us not forget.
Back. And we saw what he did last year when he got a chance. So, I mean, you can't count out their running game. But another note to add for the NFC East, they had the highest point differential of any conference. I don't think anyone was in the negative. As I'm looking here, the Cowboys were plus 115, New York Giants were at plus 26, Philadelphia Eagles were plus 36, and the Washington Redskins were plus 13.
And that's points for versus points against,
yes,
right?
That is
just
correct.
to clear that up for everybody, what point differential is. Kyle, Devin.
Both of you won't listen to this. To all 4 of you who are listening, we're dropping stats.
If anyone's
That's right.
listening, call in.
Yes, my phone is on me, and so
we might be asleep when you hear this, but call in.
All right, so that's it.
Is that
Yeah,
That's it for the
it
East.
For the East. I mean, the East is just a bunch of high-powered offenses.
Do you have a standings prediction?
I'm gonna go with Giants number 1 overall, Cowboys 2, Eagles 3, and Redskins 4. I put the Redskins at 4 because I think that Kirk Cousins is going to be he's not going to play to his full ability since he does not. There's been rumors that he's not on the same page with the overall organization, so I can see them not playing as a team this year. So I can see them ending up as like a 7-9 or.
Yeah.
Not a terrible team, but not playoff contending or.
That's a hard division to call. I feel like every team is just stacked on the offensive side at least.
You can go either way at any game.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like my division.
Which is
transition, which is the NFC South. It seems like a new team is always coming up and winning that division for whatever reason. But so the NFC South really starts with a pretty young and promising team. The Bucks, they have their quarterback, wide receiver, tight end thing figured out now. They have Jameis Winston, they have Mike Evans, and they have O.J. Howard. Howard's the rookie, was drafted. Probably the best overall tight end in the draft.
Not O.J. Simpson, if anyone was
Not
wondering.
O.J. Simpson. The only thing that's worrisome here is the running back situation. Obviously, Doug Martin has been unreliable. Charles Sims has had every opportunity in the world to go out and take the job, but hasn't. They need somebody to run away with it, quite literally. So, with that being said, I like Jameis. I think that he has proven me wrong over the past couple seasons. I was very low on him when he was drafted. I didn't think he was going to translate to the NFL, but I don't know if it's the pieces around him or if it's just him in general, but he seems to be working out. I still think Mariota was the best pick out of that draft. Classic me, obviously, But Winston's been very good. And him and Mike Evans together, he's just a freak of nature, so they're going to be awesome. This for fantasy and just NFL related. There's a lot to be desired on the defense. However, they have a couple of guys there like Gerald McCoy and Levante David who have been there for a while that are really good. But honestly, that still is going to keep them falling short in the South just because the offenses there are too good. When you have to deal with the Panthers, Saints, and Falcons twice a year, it's going to be difficult to stop them consistently. So overall, solid start, but let's see where they're at after the season. So I think key additions here, O.J. Howard and Deshaun Jackson are going to be huge for them. Losses, Alteron Werner, I guess. They lose a starting corner. He was kind of in the tail end of his career. And then let's not forget about Bears quarterback Mike Glennon, who left Tampa. They do not have a good backup anymore in Tampa. They won't need him. But hopefully, yeah. But he was a good backup.
Yeah.
And he got overpaid. But
and I think Doug Martin has a suspension, right?
Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's like 4 games, right?
Yeah,
2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It'll probably get reduced, but
a lot of gunslinging for Jameis.
yeah, he's going to throw the ball through the stadium the first few weeks, and then probably on through the season. So here I see him going maybe 6-10. Still on the way to building, but I mean that division's pretty tough, and we'll get to why later. Moving on to the next team on our list, and I'm actually going in reverse standing, so I think the Bucs are probably going to finish last here. The Saints. It starts and ends with Drew Brees. He is the heart and soul of the French Quarter. He keeps coming back every year, and he's just one of the best in the league. They added Adrian Peterson in the offseason, which is going to create a massive headache for people fantasy related with him and Mark Ingram. Don't know how that's going to shake up. Obviously, we haven't seen a preseason game yet, so we don't know. Michael Thomas was huge last year, and he's going to need to continue to do that, especially with them losing Brandon Cooks to New England. Thanks a lot for basically securing them another Super Bowl win. But, with that, they also gained extra picks in the draft. So they grabbed probably the best corner in the draft, which is Marshawn Lattimore. And then they, with their second first-round pick, they got a tackle, Ryan Ramczyk from Wisconsin. Probably more of a run blocker than a pass blocker. Not an immediate upgrade, I think, in terms of this is going to vault them into success. But long-term, whoever their successor for Drew Brees is, that's going to be good for them.
Could be good for AP.
Yeah.
Could be good for AP.
It creates competition, and we all know competition among yourself creates.
That's right.
A winning.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron in most cases, and that's what they're adding here. On defensively, that was their biggest hole. Manti Te'o is coming in to play linebacker for them. Whether or not that's an upgrade, probably over what they had.
Do we know if his girlfriend made it safe?
Fun fact about that: his girlfriend was with him at the press conference. You could see her sitting right next to him. It was crazy. She was transparent though. She wasn't really offering anything to the conversation. It was almost like she wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
But another huge loss for the Saints is going to be Nick Fairley. His career is probably over. He has a heart condition that's going to keep him out at least this season, and I would be very surprised if he comes back. So that's a big loss to their defensive line. So overall, excellent offense. Not that good of a defense yet. I would say Lattimore is a huge upgrade. But we'll see how that plays out long term. So additions, I've highlighted them: Lattimore and Adrian Peterson, and then the losses, obviously Nick Fairley and Brandon Cooks, are going to be big time departures. I see 7-9, middle of the road, enough to get them, a mid-teens pick to hopefully get more defense.
You're not big on Ted Ginn?
No. Ted Ginn is at Ohio State and he is wide open. Well, actually, probably if he's completely covered, he'll catch it more often than when he's wide open. But yeah,
I've seen too many of that, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's Ted Ginn is not a solution. He's a body to fill a spot. So might come as a shock to some people, but my next team is the Falcons. So the Super Bowl hangover is real. The choke artists from the Super Bowl, we've all seen the memes, everything.
Oh yeah.
Why aren't they finishing first in the South? Well, my friends, Falcons do have an impressive offense. Don't forget that. Julio Jones is an absolute god-tier player. Mm-hmm. Matt Ryan is fantastic. Freeman and Coleman make the running back by committee thing work. And here's the thing. They also picked up people on defense. Dontari Poe was a huge get. Drafted Takk McKinley, who has the dirtiest mouth in the rookie class, if you guys watch the draft.
That's my guy.
That's your guy right there. And then one of my favorite players from the draft who didn't get any coverage probably outside of like the hardcore NCAA guys is Duke Riley.
LSU.
Yeah.
Or no.
Duke. Yeah. Kendall Beckwith was the LSU guy. He may have been LSU too. I don't know. I thought it was Duke. But Duke Riley. Mm-hmm. These guys have no idea who I'm talking about.
from Duke Riley from Duke.
Yeah, Duke.
Perfect.
He is an excellent linebacker, at least in college. We'll see if he translates to the NFL. But he was one of my sleeper picks from the draft. Really excited. But so here's the thing, Atlanta, the Super Bowl hangover. Just ask Carolina.
Yep. Happened
to them last year. It's real. The loser of the Super Bowl generally falls off a little bit. They're still going to be very good. They are opening a fantastic new stadium, which looks amazing. They're young and fast on both sides of the ball, but they did, blow that lead against the Patriots. I think that has a lasting effect this season. Interesting note, according to Pro Football Focus, top 3 rosters in the league. Okay, the Patriots are number 1, the Falcons are number 2, and the Titans are number 3. I just got to throw that in there. So
he had to bring it up, and we're not even on the AFC side yet.
I know. I had to bring it in. That's the bias coming out. But the Falcons aren't going anywhere. I think they get the wild card in this division. The additions here, you can see the draft class: Takk McKinley, Duke Riley, Dontari Poe, and then the biggest loss here is Kyle Shanahan.
Oh,
100%.
Easily, that's the biggest loss.
We're going to see a new offense.
Yeah, the mastermind behind that offense is gone. Granted, the players largely are the same, but it's the guy turning the wheel, so to speak, is gone and
to a better team.
Yes.
When you have Julio Jones, you don't need an offensive coordinator.
That's right. Just let him run streaks all game.
Exactly. And that duo of running backs is solid.
It is nice. It's a huge.
Whoever offensive coordinator wise is coming in, basically has their job set up for them. They don't have much to. Not to work with, but they don't have to work as hard.
Basically, just don't screw it up.
Exactly.
Just
babysit them.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're doing.
Let them do their thing. So Falcons 10-6. I think that's a good baseline for them. I have them also finishing with the same record as the division leaders, but winning out on a tiebreaker, Carolina. I really like Carolina, not just because Dylan and I talk about them all the time, but
Dylan likes the Panthers. What?
They're okay.
They're all right. But yeah, they're gonna be back. It's just a matter of time. They spent the majority of last season having to adjust to not having Josh Norman, not having Luke Kuechly for the latter part of the season. Cam is still leading the offense, which is better than 90% of the league when it comes to quarterbacks. Greg Olsen is still there, and then their X factor, first pick in the draft was Christian McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a huge addition for them along with Jonathan Stewart. Kelvin Benjamin, assuming he can lose the weight that he put on in the offseason, is going to be back. He needs to get that speed back underneath him. They have Devin Funchess as well. One of the things I'm excited to see is Julius Peppers back in that Carolina blue. He's going to be really cool. He'll be probably in the same role as he was in Green Bay. And, he'll come in on passing downs. He won't be an every down player, but it'll be interesting to see him back. He's basically replacing Coney Ealy, who they lost to the Patriots in a trade. I love the D-line there. Quan Short, Star Lutule. You have Charles Johnson and Peppers. It's pretty good. My only concern is there's no depth. Vernon Butler, draft pick from last season, solid, not proven. And they have Deshaun Hall from Texas A&M. But, other than that, show me what you have. They need to keep building depth there.
Youth as well.
Yeah, and youth. But they have their Josh Norman replacement in James Bradbury, who showed up last year, did a good job. And it just goes to show you that if you need a top flight corner, go and get a plumber. Yeah. Because that's where they're at. The plumbers are the ones that are going to be shut down corners.
And for those of you who don't know the backstory behind that, when James Bradbury was drafted, he was helping his mom fix his toilet, and then he got the phone call that he was drafted. So
one minute you're in the shitter, and the next you're drafted.
That's right.
So there's still a chance for all of us.
It's true, yeah. Well, some of us. But yeah, I think the Panthers need to get back to pounding the rock and controlling the game. I think obviously they're going to evolve a little bit with McCaffrey. So it's not going to be, straight line ISOs all game. It's going to be, some misdirection, throwing the ball in the backfield. More screen game, hopefully. I think every single NFL team in the league needs to run more screens. Yeah. Never get it. But the defense is good. They have the pieces there. Probably the best linebacking core in the league. They need some more help in depth-wise. But McCaffrey, Cam, Kelvin Benjamin, that's going to be the driving force behind this team. Additions, Christian McCaffrey, Julius Peppers, and Matt Khalil, left tackle, joining his brother at center. And then the losses here, Coney Ely to the Patriots. The Tolldozer, Mike Tolbert, is gone, but they did get Alex Arma to replace him. And then A.J. Klein. Some of the losses, 10-6, I think. Like I mentioned, they're going to tie with the Falcons. I think they win out on a tiebreaker somehow. I think they'll split the season series. But they're going to be back hosting a playoff game and, hopefully returning to form, really, for Carolina. 2015 form, yeah.
Where they choked in the Super Bowl again? Yeah, that
form was the best. Yeah, I don't remember that, actually. I don't know that happening. So, I agree. I agree with the standings, I think. I think the Bucks might do a little better than what you had them predicted. I don't think they'll go above 500, but I think they'll get at least one or two more wins than 6. Just because I think they went 10-6 last year, so I just don't see them regressing that much. But
Dylan, I'm gonna stop you. If they win a couple, that's what they play 16 games, so that brings them to 8-8. And you said they wouldn't be 500, so then
they wouldn't go above 500.
Oh, okay.
Pay attention, Chad.
So now for me with the NFC West.
And on to the AFC North, Brian.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Glad to be back.
So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to name off some key additions and losses, who I think their toughest opponent is going to be, and I'm going to piggyback off of Tom. I'm going to go off in order from lowest record prediction to highest record prediction, starting with the Los Angeles Rams, and I'm going to keep this short and sweet. They're screwed. They're a bad team. I thought they had one of the best defenses in the league, but that's just not enough to cut it. They've had some pretty good additions on the O-line, starting with Andrew Whitworth, who brings a nice veteran presence there for Jared Goff. They lost Kenny Brett, but they gained Robert Woods through free agency, so I'm not sure if that's an upgrade, but it fills the position, so I guess that's a plus. But they did go and draft Cooper Kupp in the draft.
Excellent selection.
He's going to be good if Jared Goff can finally get a rhythm going. We all saw him, how much he struggled last year in that offense, but maybe, who knows, with Sean McVay now at the head coaching spot, maybe he'll thrive better in that offense. But I until I see that, I just don't see them winning very many games. The only thing I see them getting any kind of success is a resurgence from Todd Gurley. He had a down year last year. So with that being said, I have them going 2-14.
Oh man.
I wasn't kidding around, and I think their toughest opponent is going to be at Dallas against the Cowboys.
Was that his sophomore year?
I believe so.
The beloved sophomore slump. Hopefully that's
what
what
it
it
was.
was.
His third season.
I think he's going to get involved in the passing game. I think they probably get 4 or 5 wins. I'm not going as low as 2. But
they're definitely one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, I don't want to stir the
with
pot.
a rookie head coach, especially being as young as he is, and not as enough experience. He's got a young team to work with. I see them in complete rebuild mode.
Yeah,
and at least a few seasons to get going.
Kind of like the Browns right now.
I think they're a few steps behind the Browns. But I just like Gurley. Gurley's just the man.
Yes. Okay, here's a question for you then. Since the Rams look like they might be in position to potentially have a top, let's just call it top 3. Do they pull the trigger and bring in one? Because this quarterback class is loaded with talent.
That's true.
Do they stand pat with Jared Goff? Or at this moment, obviously, if he throws 50 touchdowns this year, the conversation changes. But do they stand pat with Goff?
Damn it. Yeah, I'm getting.
Or
I try to pull away.
Pulling out, it's always.
Yeah. God. Kyle.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
There was.
Okay, anyway, do they stick with Goff or do they go with one of the 3 big prospects from the draft?
You see, I don't, it depends. If he puts up similar numbers and performances like he did last season, then yeah, I think that would be in their best interest. However, considering what they traded to get him, would look like the biggest nonsense ever.
Well,
so, I mean,
we've been dealing with the Browns for a decade, so keep just pooping on the Browns.
That's funny.
If he performs like he did last year, I think it would be beneficial to them if they go and get someone like a Josh Allen or a Sam Darnold, especially if they go 2-14. They'll at least have number 1 pick or number 2 pick.
Yeah.
So,
or try to recoup some of those lost picks by trading it.
Yeah. Try trading Jared Goff. So, moving on to the second worst team in this division is the San Francisco 49ers. So they did the Chip Kelly experiment. That didn't work out very well. So they moved on to Kyle Shanahan, which could be very good for that offense. And considering that I think they had the best defensive draft this year, grabbing Solomon Thomas and Reuben Foster, 2 arguably top 5 players from the draft.
Yeah.
Getting them both there were 2 great picks by the newly acquired GM John Lynch. And then you had the whole Kaepernick debacle. And him being gone now, they bring in Brian Hoyer and Matt Barkley both from Chicago. So I'm not sure who's going to be the starter. I think Brian Hoyer looked decent, and then Matt Barkley, when he came in, he looked okay. But Kyle Shanahan has said that this is Brian Hoyer's starting job. I'm just not sure how I feel about that. Who do you guys think would be the starter?
I think it's going to be Hoyer. He's solid when he's in there, but he just gets injured too often, way too often.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to start a few games, but you can't count on him being there more than 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah, I can see the rookie that they drafted, CJ
Beathard, from Iowa.
Yeah, I can see him by the end of the year. It's kind of like a situation where if the other 2 can't win them games and win them fast, and I see him stepping in probably week 6, 7, and then finishing out the season there, and then basically restarting and trying to do that.
Yeah. Hey, worst comes to worst, they can always get Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
So
if worst comes to worst, I'm still available. I haven't thrown a football in about 10 years, so my shoulder's great.
I view them in a similar position as the Los Angeles Rams. They're in a complete rebuild mode, new head coach, questions at quarterback. They're starting to build a solid foundation on the defense, but that's just not going to be enough to cut it, especially in this division. And I think, with that being said, they're going to go 3-13, with their toughest opponent being Week 13 against the Houston Texans. So moving on to the third team, I have the Arizona Cardinals. This team is a playoff caliber team. But it all rests on the shoulders of Carson Palmer, what he's going to do. He's getting up there in age. Are we going to see 2015 Carson Palmer where he was considered for MVP, or we're going to see last year's Carson Palmer where they missed the playoffs? They lost Calais Campbell, but they still have a pretty decent defense powered by Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson. They have the units to get them where they need to be. And on offense, they got old reliable Larry Fitzgerald and arguably the best running back in the league, David Johnson. So they have everything to be a playoff caliber team, whether it be winning the division or getting that wild card round. But I think the wild card is the best that we're going to see from them this year. I'm just not sure which team we're going to get. So I think with that, I think they're going to go 9-7, and their toughest opponent being Week 16 against the New York Giants.
That'd be a good one. The no-fly zone versus that new Giants receiving core.
Oh yeah, it's
well, not really new. It's just with Brandon Marshall, but
yeah. So then we have the winners of the division, the Seattle Seahawks. There was speculation on the availability of Richard Sherman. There was trade talks surrounding him all off season. We suspected that they might deal him, but no deals were made. They were probably asking for too much. But he's still the catalyst of that. What makes that defense good, and I think it would be in their best interest to keep him. They traded Marshawn Lynch, even though he was retired. He was still technically part of that team. They traded Marshawn Lynch to the Raiders, but then brought in Eddie Lacy. Similar type running backs, pure power, going to run you over. I mean, Eddie Lacy might not have the beast mode feature, but if he can, like Kelvin Benjamin, if he can keep his weight in check, he can do some damage. But I don't think he'll do that much damage because I think the Seattle Seahawks have the worst offensive line in the NFL for sure, and they still didn't even really address that in the draft. Just a lot of questions surrounding that O-line. I mean, Russell Wilson can run and make some plays for you, but you don't want him to run for his life. So, behind that defense, their defense is good enough to win them some games. I have them going 10-6, and their toughest opponent being Week 1 against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. So,
start off with a bang.
That's right. That's the NFC, boys.
Yep, that does it for the NFC.
Yeah.
And now we're going to move on to the AFC with the AFC North. So, Brian,
we're going to start from the bottom of the whole AFC. If this was 2020, maybe we'd be talking different. But as of now, even with arguably the best draft of all teams, the Browns, they got Myles Garrett, which, to quote Tom, it was Myles Garrett and everyone else in the draft. So that's a huge defensive asset, and then Jabril Peppers is just a freak athlete. Yeah,
Where was that for Taco? I was waiting for it.
Yeah. I think that if they play him as safety, that side's done. No one's coming over the top. He's just a monster. I have high hopes for him. They got David Njoku. What's that?
That's another one of those names I just passed on to someone else.
Yeah, he could be a huge asset offensive, but I think that they're gonna slowly progress him because that's all he has. He can catch the ball, at least through my eyes. Then another good asset was Kaiser, which I don't think there's a big gap between him and Trubisky, so it didn't really hurt them to trade up and the Bears take Trubisky. It really did nothing for him. Then the addition of Kenny Britt. I'm a big fan of Kenny Britt. I think that they're going to definitely be getting him the ball and just him the ball. Coleman, I'm not so sure about. I think he's injured right now, right? Do you know, Tom?
I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, I think he's hurt as of now.
It was like a hand or something.
Well, that was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He
broke his hand.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. But between those two, I think they'll be good. Crowell, common consensus, I agree with. He's going to be a monster, and we're talking about fancy. I doubt the top 5, but top 10 is very, very likely, in my opinion. I think they're good.
Yeah.
I still don't see them, as of this year, winning more than maybe three games, probably. I'm not sure how many wins they had last year, maybe 1 or 2. One
win.
It was just awful. So I'm going to say they get 4th in the division. I mean, I think everyone would agree with that. Next, the Bengals, Steelers, and Ravens. It's hard for me because you can go any way at any season. Flacco is definitely underrated. He gets the job done, and with the addition of Macklin, I'm thinking with him and Woodhead, I feel Flacco's going to have a decent season. You can't stop interceptions, but Macklin's going to return to his Eagles days where he's a top 10 receiver, maybe top 15. Because I mean, even with the Chiefs, terrible quarterback play, at least for fantasy, he was a top 15. He was hurt last year. I just think he's going to bounce back, be solid. And then they have Woodhead, which the coaches have talked about. Like, they haven't had a good passing running back since Ray Rice, and I think Woodhead clearly fits that. He's going to get 70 plus catches, in my opinion. Maybe lead in yards in the season. I think him and Macklin probably get 800 and 900 yards each, somewhere in there. Maybe 1,000 for Macklin, but we'll see. Their defense, I mean, it's always there. They can win them games if they're playing bad, but I think their offense is going to be much better. But that being said, they're getting a little older, and there's just too many question marks. I'm going to put them in third, probably 6 or 7 wins. Next, this is the harder one for me. I think if both teams are healthy, fully healthy, the Steelers' big 3, maybe big 4 with Martavis Bryant back, if he can stay in there. I think the Steelers are the number 1 team here. But I'm going to talk about the Bengals. Joe Mixon coming in. If he can start right off the bat, I know the coaches don't usually use rookies right off the bat. I know when Bernard came in, he wasn't going to start, but I think it was Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
Yeah.
The
law firm.
Yeah, man. He got hurt, and that's the only reason Bernard came in, and Bernard did really well. And then when Hill came in his rookie year, he wasn't going to start, but Bernard got hurt, and then he had that season. But look what's happened to him since. Like, they just Mixon is another level. I think he's a Le'Veon Bell type of player, and I think they need to have him going from the beginning. Maybe throw in Bernard on third downs, even though Mixon can catch, just to kind of get the defense looking at different running backs, different sets, all that stuff. Hill, I'm sure will get still some of the goal line carries, so maybe Mixon won't be the best fantasy because some of those being stolen. But at the same time, I think with Mixon joining the team, and then if Eifert and Green can stay healthy, I could see the Bengals taking the division. But again, just like the Ravens, there's a lot of question marks, a lot of injuries. Well, you have something?
I was going to say, I do think at some point in the season, not right off the bat, but maybe midway, I do think Joe Mixon will become the starter of that team.
He's too talented not to. And then John Ross, like on the outside, the opposite of Green, like
fastest man.
He's so fast. He makes other fast people look not so fast. He's super fast. So
just how fast?
Make that into a shirt. He makes fast people look not so fast.
Yeah. I could see them winning at best 10, maybe 11 games, but I'm gonna say 8 or 9 and get second. I don't see them making the playoffs or the wild card, for that matter. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers. I think Big Ben is going to have a huge bounce back season. Martavis Bryant's coming in, not suspended. That could change in a day. Bell's not suspended.
That could change in a day.
In an hour. Antonio Brown, even last year, lost 600 yards compared to the season before. Was playing multiple games without Big Ben. Had 30 less catches and still ended as the season's number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's going to get his. Le'Veon Bell was on pace. I think he got hurt a little bit in the season, but he was on pace for 100 yards, 100 catches, which is just unheard of.
Thank you.
Thanks for drafting Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Martavis Bryant's a playmaker, and when he's on the field, he makes everyone else better. They're just good. If they can win a couple away games, especially against rivals in the division, I see them fully taking this division and just running away with it. I could even see them competing for a Super Bowl, but that's just suspensions and Big Ben. If Big Ben stays healthy, that is their top 14, in my opinion. But who knows? And him trying to retire, I don't know how legitimate that is, but we'll see. So to recap: Steelers first, Bengals, Ravens, and then Browns. 2020 Browns take number 1. They win it all, but as of now, Steelers.
Yeah, Big Ben has way too many weapons on the offense not to be good.
Yeah.
Who's the tight end this year?
Well, let go of Ladarius Green.
Let him go.
They have Jesse James. That's what I want to see them get the most. They have everything else figured out. Their offensive line's been pretty good. Just get me another Heath Miller.
Yeah.
And no one's stopping this team.
I was hoping Martavis Bryant went there. I felt if he would have went there, then it'd been a done deal. But
Yeah.
I mean, he was still into a good
Not
team.
to mention they drafted Juju Smith-Schuster,
Yeah.
Eli Rogers, and Sammy Coates. They're just loaded. Every season.
So what you're saying is they don't have any receivers?
No, they don't. They need help.
They need a lot of help back there.
I think they need to trade Antonio Brown and just get some picks.
Yeah. They should probably trade him for like, I don't know,
Maybe a
like
second round, third
Kamar
round,
Aiken.
third round of 2024.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. All right, Chad.
All right. Well,
You can
I
just go
have
ahead.
the AFC East.
Yeah, you can just go ahead and say it. It's over already.
Okay, you know what? Let's just make this segment 5 to 10 minutes shorter. New England Patriots win the conference. Win the division, I should say. Well, they will win the conference as well. But it's basically Tom Brady versus everyone else. If I explained to any team, well, Miami Dolphins had this acquisition. Well, yeah, but they're not going to stop Tom Brady. They're not going to stop Julian Edelman or Danny Amendola or Gronkowski. And now they have, Deion Lewis, James White. Is that it for the running? They probably have a
Mike
few.
Gillislee.
Yeah, they got Gillislee.
Somebody
And then
from
they picked,
Cincinnati.
Rex Burkhead. And then they picked up Dwayne Allen to play basically a cheaper Martellus Bennett type guy. But honestly, the Jets, apparently ever since Brandon Marshall left, the locker room has been not as toxic. So I don't see them going to playoffs or anything, but I see them doing the same thing probably they did last year, 6-10, 5-11, somewhere around there.
I think that's a little generous, but
yeah, it probably is.
I
I mean, last year most of the time,
I think they might be up there with the Rams for the worst team in the NFL.
yeah,
they could be. They could very well be.
Their roster's in shambles. They've lost way too many pieces. I couldn't even tell you who their starting tight end is.
They don't have one.
They don't have
yeah,
one.
No.
They have Forte.
They have Matt Forte. It's either going to be Christian Hackenberg or
terrible, awful.
He is the best quarterback in the NFL to come up. But they have like 2 or 3 other no-name quarterbacks that they've drafted, and they're having a competition. So really, I like Tom said, I'm probably being generous with 5-11, 6-10.
They lost Geno Smith. No, it doesn't seem like a huge loss, but for them, that's a huge loss.
Yeah.
He couldn't talk, but
he got punched in the face.
He had his mouth wired shut, guys.
Moving on to the Bills. The Bills are another one of those teams. Besides McCoy, they really don't have a quarterback. I mean, they have Cardell Jones who can throw the ball 80 yards. But
they still have Tyrod.
Oh, they still have Tyrod?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have Cardell Jones who can throw 80 yards, but the accuracy is, probably about that of a toddler. So, I mean, behind was Tyrod?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't like him. So, behind him, I don't think they have anybody because I don't think he'll make it through a full season. Not due to injuries. I'm not wishing that on him, but I don't think that he will be their starting quarterback by the end of the year. On to the Dolphins. Jay Ajayi last year, I think we can all say was a pleasant surprise. Jordan Young, especially for Jordan. I think he finished the league like 2nd or 3rd in rushing, total rushing yards. Actually, no, he finished 4th, I think. I think it was 4th. He was outside the top 3, but he was pretty close due to 2 or 3 games where he rushed over 200 yards.
Yeah, well, if they would have started him from week 1, it would have been different.
Yeah, but Lamar Miller, I mean,
is on the Texans.
Yeah.
What? No. Lamar Miller left, and then they got Arian Foster. So basically, they did a switcheroo, and being a vegan for Arian Foster obviously hasn't worked to this point. So he's been very injury prone. Oh wait, that's right, he retired.
Yep.
Because I don't like that guy.
You're mad about it.
I don't like him at all. But once again, going back to making the segment shorter, New England Patriots. I don't say they go 16-0 again, but I say they are the last team to lose a game.
15.5 and 1/2 of a loss.
They halfway tie and halfway lose.
Yeah.
Not because they actually lose the game, but because Bill Belichick just loses his mind in the middle of the game and pulls his team off.
Even with Jimmy Garoppolo under center, they could still go a decent 7-6 probably.
They probably go, yeah.
All right. Well, since you bring up Jimmy G, do you think that he will be traded by the end of this year?
No. If the Patriots front office is too smart, there's no way they'll let Jimmy walk. Absolutely no way.
No, not even for a trade. Not even if they bring Myles Garrett over.
Myles Garrett is garbage.
I'm just saying, like, in a trade like that, but it would.
No, there's no way.
Not be worth.
You could trade. I mean, obviously, if they were like, hey, we'll give you
first
Le'Veon and Antonio Brown for Jimmy Garoppolo, yeah, sure, why not?
I mean,
But that's never going to happen.
He is easily one of the best backups. He could probably be one of the top 32 quarterbacks.
No, he's the best backup in the league, probably.
I'm saying he's better than some starters.
Yeah, I
Fitzpatrick.
would
I
totally
was
agree.
going to say if they trade him to the Dolphins for Ryan Tannehill, I mean the Dolphins would get a big
That's
boost.
another question. I don't know if it's that, if he's like just a product of that system that makes him so good. If you put him on a team like the Jets or the Dolphins, would we still see the same Jimmy G that we've seen on the Patriots?
That's a good question. That's for our listeners to answer.
Yeah, leave a
Call us
comment, subscribe.
The
Leave a
Dolphins
comment
would
down
have,
below
yeah.
if we sound like idiots.
But-
We'll get back to you.
No, we won't.
Yeah, Patriots 1, Dolphins 2, Bills 3, Jets 4, same as last year. So, but also as Tom said, Patriots basically have another Super Bowl tied up.
It's Tom Brady's world and all this with
So you're not riding in on the hype for the Dolphins with Devontae Parker and Jay Ajayi?
No, I'm not. I mean, Jarvis Landry was along with Parker, he was a very good wide receiver, but I just think defensively they can't keep up with the Patriots.
Yeah.
You can try and outscore the Patriots, but you're going to lose 9 out of 10
No,
times.
you're going to lose that game every
Well,
time.
actually, you're going to lose 10 out of 10 times because they're going to come back from a 28-3 deficit.
I'm not really high on Devontae Parker this year. I'm not sure what the hype is.
Well, the hype's coming from the offensive coaches. They're
Everybody
trying to
looks
say-
good at OTAs.
Is it Adam Gase is the head coach now?
Yeah. And they're also trying to hype up Julius Thomas, saying he's a 10-touchdown guy. I don't
Maybe
see
with
it.
eight-
Also-
maybe I was
Yeah,
gonna
what-
say,
Yeah, when you're playing with one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, and he's just basically handing you the football from the one, well, tossing you the football from the one.
I mean, look at what happened to Eric Decker as well. He leaves the Broncos and he's awful as well. Like, you can't expect anything good.
Now he's with the Titans. He's
Speaking of
gonna be
Eric
worse.
Decker,
But, yeah, even if you look at their draft, they didn't draft that well. I don't think. They only had, 7 picks, 8 picks, which is not pretty on average, but still what they do with them, I'm not seeing anything here that's worth
That's still Jarvis Landry's
Yeah.
unit.
team.
yeah,
No one's going to overcome him.
I do not believe so.
And on to Thomas.
Moving on to the
Since we
AFC.
talked about Eric Decker,
Yeah.
I'd like for you to.
Well, it's going to be a minute before we talk about Eric Decker. But
He's going to go in on everybody.
There we go.
so I get the distinction of talking about probably the. Excuse me, Dylan.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have the distinction of talking probably about the favorite division among the league, and that's the AFC South. A lot of people in the league have ties to teams in this division.
Yeah, Tom.
Me, Brian, when you declare your allegiance, I'm waiting for you to put that two-tone blue on. But
Right now. Wait.
now.
Wait.
But and Ryan, we're going to start with your team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I still don't think they're quite there yet. Their biggest problem is going to be at quarterback still. But the Jags are the offseason darlings. Every single year they win free agency by opening up the wallet and just throwing money at whoever wants to come to Florida, which would be okay if they actually got good talent that flourished in Jacksonville. It leads me to kind of question the mental stability of Shad Khan, whether or not he knows what he's doing. The Jags, they did make the right pick in the draft, though. They got Leonard Fournette to lead the running back squad, if you will. They still have TJ Yeldon, who I think should have been a hit in Jacksonville, just not utilized very well. But so that's Fournette's team now, at least in terms of running backs. They still have Allen Robinson, who is off and on kind of looked at like a garbage time wide receiver. So his role might be diminished a little bit because I think Jacksonville runs the ball a lot more effectively this year. So basically they just need Bortles to be a game manager at this point. They need to hand the ball to Fournette, let him do his thing, run him into the ground, and occasionally throw the ball and let those big receivers go up and make plays. That being said, defensively, Malik Jackson, Calais Campbell, Telvin Smith, Miles Jack, all good pieces. They signed A.J. Bouye in free agency along with Tashawn Gibson, and then last year's breakout star, Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey was a freak last year at the end of the season, and that is a good secondary moving forward. Additions, Fournette, Bouye, Brandon Albert, who I don't think has practiced yet for contractual reasons, but
Smart.
They got him from the Dolphins in the Julius Thomas thing. And then flipping that, Julius Thomas is a big departure for them. And then Jonathan Cyprien, their starting safety from last year, who went in the division to the Titans. I see the Jags somewhere around like 5-11, hanging around that number like they usually do. they're there or they're close.
They just can't finish games.
They can't finish.
Blake
And
Bortles is the problem.
yes,
Go ahead and say it.
I think they missed an opportunity by not drafting a guy, but they made the right choice in getting Fournette. They could have gotten a quarterback, but they got the better player.
I don't think this draft was deep enough at quarter. You had Mitchell Trubisky and then maybe Kaiser, but after that, next year though, that's their time that they
just let Bortles do what he does, and then just draft Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
this year. That's what I would do.
Yeah, or any Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, any of the guys that are coming out next year, they're all better than Bortles. But moving on to the team that's probably going to finish in. Yes.
Does Ryan actually listen to this?
No, I seriously doubt it.
He actively does not listen. All right, well, never mind.
Yep, just like Blake Bortles, he doesn't do what he's told.
Anyway. He doesn't actively listen to his coaches. It's okay.
Moving on to the third place finishers in the South is going to be the Texans. Controversial pick coming in. The Texans are going to be relying on either Tom Savage or Deshaun Watson at quarterback. That worries me a great deal. Brian is licking his lips right now because he is so excited about the Texans. They have very well one of the best defenses in the league with Watt and Clowney bookending the D-line. Watt's coming back off of an injury, though, which is a little scary, especially when it's a back thing. Guys always look good in shorts when they come back from injury, but you don't really know until you put the pads on and they get hit for the first time. So it's a little concerning, but, Watt's a freak. I mean, he played 3 games last year and he was ranked in the top 100 players. That tells you how good he is. Whether or not, that list is biased or legit or whatever. But still, he's one of the best players in the league. They have a pretty decent offense. I'll say they have pieces. Lamar Miller, DeAndre Hopkins, and Will Fuller are the skill guys there. An offensive line that's basically a no-name group outside of Dwayne Brown. And then Deshaun Watson, who the Texans traded up to get. I think he has great potential. He kind of reminds me of Cam Newton. He has that body size that everybody looks for, and he's played on the biggest stages in college football and has succeeded beyond what anybody probably could have wished for him. He's going to reunite with a Clemson teammate. He's going to go there. Hopefully, they're going to hook up a lot. But, the Texans, they're in an interesting spot where they could be dark horse candidates or they could just fall off the face of the earth. I don't see that part happening, though. Addition-wise, Watson, they got a backup running back in Dante Foreman, who went to Texas, who I like a lot. They didn't sign anybody in free agency. They were completely quiet. And then they lost Bouye, John Simon to the Colts, who was a decent linebacker. And then the biggest loss of all is Brock Osweiler.
Yeah.
I think we can.
I don't think they'll ever recover from that.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that he's going to be better off never going back to Houston ever.
Did the Browns
playing again?
Did the Browns play the Texans this year?
I hope so.
Because I think it's the AFC East and the AFC South.
Yeah, if Osweiler can't start on the Browns, then
yeah.
Go spend that money you got. You stole from everybody.
You might already not be.
Yeah, that's true. There
I
were
haven't heard anything.
Kaiser's got that job probably.
Yeah, reports have said he's looked good.
Didn't Jabril Peppers play quarterback in college for a little bit?
Took a few snaps.
Yeah, he's probably on.
And running back, wide receiver. Yeah, Texans I see going 10-6, or sorry, not 10-6, 6-10 rather.
What?
The other way. I just think not having an experienced quarterback is going to hurt them in the long run. Obviously, they're set up for success, though. I think the Texans are going to be back relatively soon. Finishing second in the division are my least favorite team in professional sports.
The Indianapolis Colts.
The Indianapolis Colts.
How did I guess that?
The Colts had one of the most impressive off seasons this year. I'm as much as I hate them because it's a rival of my favorite team. They made, I think, probably the best pickup in the offseason was getting Chris Ballard from the Chiefs. Yeah. He has turned down multiple GM jobs in the past, and for whatever reason this year he decided to go to the Colts, and that's the biggest get for any team in the AFC South. Yeah. He knows exactly what he's doing, and it's been completely evident by the way they drafted, by getting a huge steal in Malik Hooker. Yeah. Quincy Wilson was at one time considered a top 10 pick, who I think is hurt now. But he's I think they saw him in a walking boot or something, but he's going to be a great corner. And then they also got a running back, Marlon Mack, who is probably going to win the job over Frank Gore at some point. And then Terrell Basham from Ohio to take over that kind of like Robert Mathis role. The signings for the Colts in the offseason, they weren't nearly as flashy, I guess, in terms of free agency. Jonathan Hankins is good for the D-line. John Simon, as I mentioned, with the leaving the Texans, is going to be good to kind of rebuild that depth at linebacker. Ultimately, though, the Colts ride and die with the offense. Andrew Luck has been eerily missing from the press, I guess, recovering from a shoulder injury that he's been dealing with for like 2 years. So it's going to be interesting to see if he comes back and continues his momentum. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. So no doubt about it, the kid can play. He just needs to stay healthy. Offensive line has generally been a problem, but they try to negate that by having a lot of wide receivers with really good speed. T.Y. Hilton is exceptionally good underneath. They brought in Kamar Aiken. They still have Philip Dorsett, Dante Moncrief. They have a lot of weapons there. No more Dwayne Allen, as Chad mentioned. But, the Colts are primed for another good season as long as Andrew Luck doesn't get himself killed. So, with that being said, the best additions, Chris Ballard, Hankins, and Malik Hooker. And then the losses, kind of one, a starting linebacker, DeQuell Jackson, Arthur Jones, and Dwayne Allen. See the Colts going 9-7. I think they could sneak into the playoffs. They'll be that 5 or 6 team, and they're always scary though. Andrew Luck can take over a season by himself, and he's very good.
Also, another big loss for them that may or may not happen is Perry, their nose tackle, who got arrested in the offseason for a plethora of just being an idiot, really.
Yeah, because he started every game since he was drafted, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if they're thinking about releasing him or what they're thinking about doing, but I think his suspension is definitely coming his way before the season starts. Most likely.
And they also lost Joe Wrights. He retired, but we'll see how they fill that gap, I guess. They drafted somebody this year that was pretty good on the offense. So I think he went to USC.
Oh, and they're talking about he's massive.
He's massive. He's like 6'9".
Yeah.
And
then you have Kelly.
Yeah. Well, Ryan Kelly's good. He's gonna be solid.
He's gonna be the next shift Saturday.
And that's the comparison that I've heard every single time I've looked at film or any time that I've heard anything about him. It's been this guy's Jeff Saturday. So that moves us on to the best part. I
think we're done.
Actually, that's the hour mark. So we'll see you guys later. No, I'll try to make this quick because I know that my bias is going to peek through a lot. Just because, obviously I'm excited because it's been a decade without good Titans football. But they are the NFL's it team this year. Yeah. The media is starting to swarm to Nashville, and it makes me nervous beyond belief because with expectation comes letdown. So the Titans have, over the past 2 years, starting with the draft where they got Marcus Mariota, have completely recultured their team. They've rebuilt the front office. They have absolutely stacked their offensive line, which I believe is number 1 or number 2 in the league. All-pro right tackle Jack Conklin, snubbed all-pro tackle Taylor Lewan, and then a solid go blue, and then a very solid interior line, which played above expectation. They also have, again, one of the best running back duos in the league with DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. I think it's the best too, but obviously if I say it, it comes off of bias. So
it's between him and the Falcons.
I just peeped what he did last year. You had like ridiculous yards per catch, and there's no way.
Well, do you think that Henry will take over the starting job eventually, or what do you think?
Yes, 100% eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
In this
I think what we're going to see this year, just like last year, Murray got hurt towards the end of the year, so Henry is going to get more carries. But traditionally, Mike Mularkey has always run a bell cow system. So Murray is still going to be the primary back. Henry's still going to get his touches.
So probably stay away from that for fantasy reasons.
Fantasy reasons, Murray's the guy to have.
What can you expect on carries, Murray to Henry?
It's tough to, just based on game flow, Murray is going to be your 3-down back as long as it's not 3rd and 1. And Henry's going to come in for goal line occasionally. If I had to put a number on it, 70-30. It's going to be something similar to that, but it's still going to be Murray's backfield. But Henry is quite literally coming just straight for Murray's job, and he's going to be the guy eventually, and he is scary good. It's kind of disgusting.
Let's remember past Alabama running backs. Trent Richardson.
He's different though.
Derrick Henry is different. There is a noticeable difference. It's like it's like watching. I had this analogy in my head the other day. It's like watching Nickelback on stage and then Metallica coming out immediately afterwards. There is a noticeable difference in atmosphere and quality. It's like comparing a rotten apple to a freshly picked Honeycrisp.
So you're telling me that Nickelback is the Honeycrisp?
Yes. Yes, Chad. But anyway, so yeah, Derrick Henry he's going to be the guy eventually. The most exciting part of the team, I think, is the wide receiving core. They've completely revamped it. They're finally getting rid of Harry Douglas, hopefully. Not officially yet, but they have Corey Davis, Tywan Taylor, Eric Decker, and, of course, last year's incumbent starter, Rashard Matthews, who had an excellent season. Very underrated. And we haven't even talked about Delaney Walker yet.
My boy.
Probably one of the I would say
number
one or
two,
two tight ends.
2 or 3 in the league.
Well, depends on how healthy Gronk is. If Gronk is not healthy, I put him at number 1.
Yep, really? Delaney Walker's very good. I think he's underrated. Speaking of underrated guys, defensively, Jarrell Casey is a freak of nature. Probably the most underrated, overlooked player in the NFL. They added Jonathan Cyprien, Logan Ryan, and Dory Jackson in the secondary. They still have Arakpo Morgan, Avery Williamson, at linebacker. So overall, I think this team is ready to take off, assuming that they're healthy. They addressed all their needs. They are primed and ready to have one of the best offenses in the league. So I see the Titans going 11-5. They have a very tough schedule early on. They play the Raiders in week 1. They play Seattle in week 3. But other than that, they have that game in Pittsburgh late in the year. They're going to lose that game, I think. I don't see them beating Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. It's going to be a tough one. But, yeah, so additions, Corey Davis, Eric Decker, Logan Ryan, and Dory Jackson. Losses, not impressive losses by any means, but Kendall Wright, Jason McCourty, and Anthony Fasano. Fasano's one that is kind of interesting because he was our number 2 run-blocking tight end, and I believe he graded out as the number 1 run-blocking tight end in the league last year. He went to Miami. So, but yeah, that's my take on the South. Chad, you had to look at your question.
Yep. So do you think with the AFC East, the East and the South matching up, do you think that game at the Steelers and then when Cincinnati comes down to Nashville, that could be a deciding factor in the AFC East? Who wins it, who doesn't?
I think that I don't think it's a question that the Titans are going to lose to Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. If it was in Nashville, it'd be a little bit different, but I don't think they can. They're not quite there yet. At least in just your typical regular season Thursday night game.
Yeah.
They're not. They don't have enough firepower just yet. Maybe they will by that time of the season. I think the Bengals is more of an indication where they're at. If they can beat the Bengals, then I think they can contend with most teams in the AFC.
But the Bengals are before they go to Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that could be it.
And that one's in Nashville, so that
helps it.
A little bit of
those
advantage.
are crucial games for the Steelers and Bengals as well.
Yeah.
Deciding that division.
And I think that's gonna go a long way in deciding the playoff seeding as well.
Yeah.
The interdivisional games, especially with the North and the South, are going to decide a lot.
Yeah.
Minus the Patriots in the East.
I kept on saying the East, but
that's all good. Yeah, but yeah, I think the Patriots number 1 seed overall, and then the next 3 you look at, whoever wins the South. Probably, I think it's the Titans. They'll probably finish 3rd or 4th. Oakland, I think, out of the West, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
Actually, go ahead and take the West.
Okay, I'm going to take the West. So I'm going to go off how I did last time. Name key additions, key losses, toughest opponent. And actually, coincidentally enough, all of them have the same toughest opponent, and it's the Patriots. So
Yep.
get out of the way. Especially for the Chiefs, week 1 to start the season, they're going to lose.
Loss.
Bad. So, start from the lowest record. This might come as a surprise to you guys, but I think the team that will finish last in this division will be the Denver Broncos. Mainly because their biggest question mark is at the quarterback. Is going to be Trevor Siemian or Paxton Lynch. Trevor Siemian showed some promise last season. But Paxton Lynch is, I've heard, been getting progressively better, and he's doing what he can to take that starting job. But from what I saw last year from Paxton Lynch, I wasn't that impressed. But as far as defense goes, they still have an elite defense. they still have one of the better units among the league, but with the questions at quarterback, I don't think their defense will be good enough to get them to the playoffs. So I have them going 8-8, and like I said, with their toughest opponent being New England Patriots. And then next, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. But they lost a lot this season. They lost Jamal Charles, they lost Dontari Poe, they lost Macklin, but they still have Alex Smith. And
thank God for that.
He gets it done.
He does.
He hasn't had much to work with, but he's been consistent. He's gotten them to the playoffs. They were the 2 seed last year in the AFC, but I think losing Macklin and Jamal Charles is going to be a big loss for him. But my question to you guys is, who do you think is going to take that number 1 spot now at the receiving position? Do you think it's going to be Conley or
Hill?
Yeah,
Tyreek Hill?
I think from a positional standpoint, it's going to be Conley, just based on the on the depth chart. But not as for number 1 target, I think. If we're not including Travis Kelce.
Kelsey has it.
Yeah, but if we're not counting Kelce, then probably I think Tyreek Hill is going to get the majority of the looks.
Yeah,
I think that the defense is going to step up, and it's going to be between the 2 running backs and Travis Kelce. They're going to carry the team with Alex Smith. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put them 3rd, but this is your rankings.
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked.
Yeah. I think the losses on offense is going to be big for them.
Yep.
But they do have an emerging running back with Kareem Hunt. I've heard a lot about him coming off in the offseason. Maybe he could take that starting position. Who knows? But I just don't see him getting to the form they had last year. I think they will put themselves in possible wild card position. So it's all up to them how if they want to get there. I have them going 9-7. And then moving on to my second place team is the Los Angeles Chargers.
I had to think about it.
I almost said San Diego. So
San Diego.
Main reason why I think the Chargers are going to finish second place this year is because their defense is very underrated. It's powered by the rookie phenom Joey Bosa. He definitely showed out last season. I think they're not elite yet, but I think they're definitely getting there. They had some good additions with Mike Williams in the draft. We got Keenan Allen coming back if he can stay healthy.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And then they have Melvin Gordon, who kind of had a breakout year last year. And yeah, and they still have Phillip Rivers. He's gonna sling the ball as much as he can with Hunter Henry, and most likely becoming the starting tight end now there. I think they have a good unit enough to be a wild card team. So with that, I think they're going to go 10-6, take that wild card spot, and finish second in the division. So now that leaves me with the winners of the division, the Las Vegas Raiders, I should say.
That's going to be the hardest one.
More year.
Yeah, Oakland for 1 more year. That's going to be a hard one to get over.
We saw what they can do last year. Derek Carr looked phenomenal last season. They moved on from Latavius Murray, but they got beast mode Marshawn Lynch in a trade, and they still have that two-headed monster at wide receiver with Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree. And then on the defensive side, they got Khalil Mack. That's pretty much all I need to say.
God tier.
Khalil Mack is an absolute beast.
He shit my season.
He should have been the number 1 overall pick over Clowney in that draft. But I think they repeat the same record they had last year. I think they're going to go 12-4, possibly finish second overall in the conference. And like the common theme here, their toughest opponent is going to be Week 11 versus New England.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
I'm favoring the Raiders, honestly. I think they're going to beat the Patriots.
You know, it would not surprise me if Oakland somehow makes it to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
It's surprising.
I have them in the Super Bowl.
This was a tough division for me. They're all like, they can all beat each other. No team like overpowers the other. So that's why I had them all close enough in record.
I'm really high on Phillip Rivers this year.
Yeah.
And
I think the Chiefs will be good, but just not enough to get past the Chargers.
Who's the guy who tore his ACL last year? Jordan loves him.
Oh, Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan
Oh,
Allen.
yeah.
If he can stay healthy, I think Jordan has a valid point with how.
I mean,
much
what?
hype
He was
puts
on
him.
pace for what, like 100,000 catches last year?
Basically, I mean,
100,000 catches, 8,000 yards.
I could be wrong. I felt like it was like 12 targets a game was on average.
No, yeah, he
was
something crazy.
Philip Rivers loves him.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hope he can
Take
stay
him
healthy.
first round, Jordan. You won't.
They let him pick. We already have Jordan going with him.
Yep. Mark it down on your calendars,
So,
boys.
any final comments, questions?
Is it football time yet?
Yeah.
God.
I'll have a final comment. Ryan, congratulations. I think we all are happy for you. You and Hannah are now happily engaged. So
Look at Chad.
that's
How sentimental.
that's the only thing I have
That's
to
a
say.
first.
I mean, Ryan's not going to listen to this, so this is for everyone else.
Yeah.
But Ryan.
And you only cursed once.
I did.
You've changed, bro.
I have.
I don't
I've
like
changed.
I
Don't
like
get
it.
back to him somehow.
Yeah.
Just have Josh hit me with a couple mean things, and then I'll go back to old me.
He hates you,
He
man.
wants to kill me.
All right, so along those lines, so we're going to talk about this in another episode in depth, but really quick, what is the most anticipated fantasy matchup you're looking forward to, either personally or in the league? Mine is Josh and Chad, obviously.
Yeah. That's gonna be a nice one. There's gonna be so much smack talk that week.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
probably even 2 weeks prior. To the
Well, hold on.
game.
What
Yeah.
week is that?
I don't even care if we lose. I just want Chad.
I'm not sure what week it is. It'll be one of the rivalry weeks.
If there's a home game,
It'll
I'll
be
say it's like week 5.
It's 5 and 13.
Yeah.
as I say, if there's
Yeah.
a home game, then I probably won't be talking that much smack. But as you all have heard, or some of you have
No
heard,
one cares, Brian. Any comments?
I have now found me a co-manager to help
Oh,
me co-manage
yeah.
my team.
All right. How about getting penalized after this season?
We have. That's why I have a co-manager. So if any of my winnings, if I said if, not when, but if I win anything, Quinn will get all the winnings.
Yeah, way
we
to
have-
say that, not introduce your co-manager first.
But that's my thing. Don't was trying to talk to me.
Quinn is co-managing.
Quinn Cataldi, say his full name right. Put some respect on it. So Quinn Cataldi. No, Quinn Cataldi is being my co-manager this year due to obvious reasons, as I am currently not supposed to be playing, but as you see, I am.
Way to put that on tape.
Well, I'm not supposed to be playing for winnings, so
It's true.
I can play for fun, just not winnings.
I mean, I'll take your winnings and then just donate it to charity.
I mean,
yeah, totally.
to the Brian Zalingas.
So he'll get the money, but are you drafting your team?
Quinn will be there live, and I will be at school, so we will both be co-drafting. In other words, I will be telling Quinn what to draft, and we will see what he does.
Whether or not he
Yeah,
decides
I
to.
don't agree. I'm gonna take this person.
Yeah, so if you hear a lot of arguing, it's probably because Quinn and I are deciding on who to take. But Quinn basically has all the. At first, it started out as him just having game day changes. So if someone got injured in the morning and I couldn't make a change, but now it has turned into he can drop, add, trade, do whatever he wants
Wow.
without me or with me.
I'd like to
saying
meet
if
this
I
guy.
want.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think we should take him out to dinner.
Yeah, let's not do that. All right.
Quinn.
Well, for me, I think it's suited. This year, I believe my rivals are Kyle and Juice, and I think my favorite matchup would be against Juice because every time we play, it comes down to the last minute.
I will never forget that Antonio Brown punt return for a touchdown.
Punt return for the touchdown. What, like the last 20, 30 seconds?
Game is-
Something
game
like
is
that?
over.
I think it ticked as he was
He
celebrating.
texted me right before the punt and said, "Good game." I'm pretty sure I don't remember what he said, but I was like, just sitting there like, this isn't going to happen. I walked into the room, all bent out of shape, and then I hear Sarah scream, and he wins. Not really, she could care less about fantasy, but I saw it. And I won
She's
last
screaming. He's yelling at her. It was a mess.
We were doing
Absolutely.
something else during. That's what I was-
Whoa.
She plays Black Ops with me.
Right. I don't see an Xbox 360 anywhere in here.
Oh, true. At the time, I didn't have a PS4, so I'm lying.
You guys call me.
Admit it. All right. Any last thoughts?
Tune in to our next episode as we will be reviewing the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. If you're interested in that, we're pretty excited to see it. So.
Yep. Can't wait.
July
I'll
7th?
be there.
July 6th is when we're
July
watching
6th?
it.
No,
Yeah.
we're not watching. Don't tell Chad.
Oh, yeah, Chad, we're not watching
We're not
Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
Call Quinn. He'll replace you.
Okay.
There will be a spoiler review, so just
Yeah.
heads up on that.
So go see it the 6th with us. If you don't, you're lame.
But you're not invited.
Oh,
So,
well, obviously I'm lame then. So
Very much so.
but yeah, that'll be the next one. It'll probably come out on like, what,
it's 10th.
9th or
Oh.
10th.
Yeah.
When we get a chance to actually sit down and talk about it.
Which we do every week.
Sleep on it, digest it for a couple days.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
as always, hit
well-
that like button, subscribe for more content, leave a comment down below if you think we're idiots, or if you have suggestions.
it's his outro. Let him do it.
Well, just a quick.
All right, that's really cool, Chad. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed.